Yeah, no, this is not going live.
Is the YouTube live stream?
It's not YouTube live streaming it.
It's not working?
No, I'm messaging some machines right now.
That's the thing I always have a problem with.
That has never happened to me.
.602.
Yep, Shanice just responded, so. So we could, Shanice said as long, we don't need to go live on YouTube. She said, they can upload the VPIM on Friday.
Correct.
So we can begin the virtual public information meeting at this time.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public information meeting for state project number 00400149, which is for the replacement of bridge number 01382, the abandonment of bridge number 02703, and the rehabilitation of bridge number 02704, all carrying State Road 609, Leesville Road in East Haddam, Connecticut. My name is Dennis Garso. I am a project manager with GM2 Associates, who is the consultant liaison engineer on behalf of the Connecticut Department of Transportation for this project. We hope that everyone finds this presentation informative and that we will be able to address any questions or concerns that you may have. As part of Title VI Civil Rights, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A link is provided on this slide for additional civil rights information. We would greatly appreciate if you would complete the public survey after tonight's meeting. A link and a QR code are provided on this slide as well. Links to both the public survey and the civil rights flyer are also available on the project's website mentioned on the first slide. A recording of this presentation will be posted to ConnDOT's YouTube channel after this event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, are available on Zoom and YouTube. This is the Title VI notice to the public, which states the Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with ConnDOT. Available to those joining us tonight through Zoom is the option to view captions or subtitles. To turn on this feature, select the Show Caption button or the CC button at the bottom of your screen. Then select the Speaking Language button and then select the desired language. There are 3 ways that you will be able to communicate with us during and after this meeting. You can submit questions via email at dotproject00400149@ct.gov. You can also call 860-594-2020 and leave a voice message. When you're leaving that message, just a note that please refer to the state project number and a brief description of the project. The QA box can be used if you are joining us through the Zoom application. We will explain how to use this function in more detail on the next slide. This function will also be available during tonight's meeting. The project email, voicemail, and Q&A box will be screened by the project team, and the project team will then read the questions out loud. Questions may be asked at any time during the presentation, but they will be answered at the end of the presentation. There's also a project web page where a recording of tonight's meeting will be made available. The web page will also include information that was explained on how to leave questions and comments for the project team. This website is https://portal.ct.gov East Haddam 0040-0149. The questions and comment period by email or phone will be open through July 2nd, 2025. To use the Zoom QA function, select the QA tool at the bottom of the webinar window. The QA window will open as seen on the right. Then you can type the question in the text box and click enter, and it will submit the question. Before we get started with the main presentation, I wanted to walk through the goals and format for tonight's meeting. First, I will introduce the project team, including the CONDOT's leadership and our consultant liaison and design teams. Then we will have the technical portion of the presentation, which will include the condition of the existing structures, the purpose and need for the project, and the recommended design, which has progressed to a 30% level. The plan, schedule, and dates are preliminary and are subject to change. Following the technical presentation, we will open up the forum to your comments and questions. I'd like to now introduce the project team. First, from Connecticut Department of Transportation, we have Derek Lassard, the Division Chief of Bridges, Francisco Badul, Project Manager, and Isif Flashy, Project Engineer. Also with us is Malcolm Thomas, Property Agent Representative from Division of Rights of Way. Additionally, GM2 is working on the project as the CONDOT's consultant liaison engineers. From GM2, we have Michael Brady, the CLE project program manager, and myself, Dennis Garso, the project manager. Prime AE Group is the consultant design engineer for this project. From Prime, we have Stan Nalitz, the project manager. Now I would like to hand the presentation off to Malcolm Thomas from Connecticut DOT Rights of Way. Malcolm.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to speak with in regards to the acquisition and the rights of way phase of this project. My name is Malcolm Thomas. I'm an assistant project coordinator with the Department of Transportation Rights of Way Division. As mentioned, our office is responsible for acquiring all necessary property rights and property for transportation projects throughout the state. I'm here to provide a brief overview regarding our acquisition process. As mentioned, this project will require the acquisitions of property rights. Specific property rights have not been determined and are being finalized and may change as the design progresses. Any property rights will be acquired in accordance to the Connecticut General State Statutes 13A 73 and 13A 98E, as well as the Uniform Act. It's important to note that the state will only acquire property rights that are deemed necessary for the project. A letter of intent. So as far as our letter of intent goes, once the design has progressed through a development milestone and all impacts and impacts from the project have been determined, the rights of way acquisition process will begin. Impacted property owners will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire, along with a property map which depicts exact property rights to be acquired. There's a sample of a property map on your screen currently. Our office will determine fair market value for those property rights, in which we'll establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to property owners in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner to explain the project and go over specific impacts to their property and explain the state's offer. The property owner typically has 30 days to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. Once an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all necessary paperwork to record conveyance documents and property maps on the town's land records. In the case an agreement cannot be reached to keep the schedule with the project, the department may acquire necessary property rights through the power of eminent domain, which the state will file a notice of condemnation on the Supreme Court, along with the monetary deposit and the amount of the state's offer. The owner will have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money will be deposited in the court and will be available to withdrawn by the owner at any time. I can answer any questions regarding the right-of-way phase during the Q&A portion of tonight's meeting. Thank you. I will pass it over to Stan to continue our presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Malcolm. Good evening, everyone. Like Dennis mentioned, my name's Stan Nalitz with Prime A Group. I'm the project manager for the design portion. Dennis mentioned there's actually 3 structures on the project. May not be apparent from driving on Leesville Road because they're under a lot of fill, but we'll spend the next few minutes describing the existing conditions, the need for the project, and then talk about our proposed plan. So on the screen now is the location of the 3 structures. Dennis mentioned Bridge 1382 that carries SR 609 over the Moodus River. 2703 carries 609 over an abandoned mill race, and Bridge 2704 carries SR 609 over an unnamed brook. So you can see the general location. If you go to the next slide, Dennis, we've got an aerial view of the project area. You can see the Johnson Mill Pond, right where Dennis says the pointer. And just for reference, the project limits Bridge 2704 would be the farthest bridge west if 609 runs west to east. The middle is Bridge 2703, and then closest to Route 149 is Bridge 1382. So you can go to the next one, Dennis. And before we get into the actual presentation, all 3 structures, existing and proposed, will be concrete box culverts. So this is a depiction of a typical box culvert. If you're not familiar with the terms, we'll run through this quickly because we'll probably be throwing some terms out that may not be you may not be familiar with. So box concrete, or concrete box culvert, like his name implies, is it's a 4-sided box made of reinforced concrete that conveys water from one side to the other. The typical components are the barrels or cells. A box culvert can be single cell or multi-cell. So what's shown here is a 2-cell box culvert. It consists of top slab, bottom slab, and walls. And the other components there are, you see head walls, which retain the roadway fill, and wing walls, which will contain the earth around the ends of the culvert. And the other thing to note is that the span of the culvert is the horizontal opening of the culvert, and the rise is the vertical opening of the culvert. So you go to the next one, Dennis. The first bridge we'll talk about is the bridge number 1382. It carries the 609 over the Moodus River. This is a picture showing the upstream elevation. The existing bridge is a twin cell, 12 foot span by 10 foot rise, reinforced concrete box culvert. And there's approximately 25 feet of fill over the culvert. So all three of these structures carry Route 609. The existing roadway, rail to rail, is approximately 30 feet wide. So the next one, Dennis. Just a couple quick pictures on the existing conditions, getting into why we're doing the project. These are pictures out of the latest, most recent bridge inspection report. You can see some cracking and spalling inside the rebar, or inside the cells of the box culvert, exposing rebar, and that's kind of typical throughout the structure. So purpose and need, why are we doing this work? We want to address the structural deficiencies and provide a structure that accommodates safe travel for all facility users. You can get the next one, Dennis. The project goals, so 1382, this, and I should mention, there's three structures. It's going to be one construction project, but we'll talk about each structure individually. So 1382, I mentioned the bridge inspection report. It's currently rated a 5. So bridge inspection, typically the condition ratings range from 1 to 9. We want to get this up to at least a 7, so it's in the good or excellent range. We want to improve the hydraulic capacity, and that'll be done by increasing the waterway opening, where we talk about the span and the rise of the culvert. So we're going to increase the opening. We want to maintain sufficient load capacity for the vehicles on Route 609. And the plan is to replace it with a precast box culvert. There will be, because of the size of this, there will be some cast in place elements. And I didn't mention earlier when we were showing the box culvert depiction. Box culverts can be precast, meaning they're made in a fabrication plant and is shipped to the site already cast and assembled on site, or cast in place, meaning the concrete will be and reinforcing will be placed on site, and the concrete will be poured on site. You go to the next one, Dennis. So the next, the middle structure is the bridge 2703. The existing bridge is a 2-span twin cell box culvert, 6-foot span by 4-foot rise. Again, built in 1930, and there's about 30 feet of fill on this. This structure, you can go to the next slide, Dennis. You can see the inlet end is buried, and there's we skipped over that slide again. That's all right. There's a couple couple pictures from the inspection report just showing a typical condition, spalling and water infiltration coming into the culvert, and honeycombing on the ceiling. The concrete is deteriorating on the inside of the culvert. Purpose and need, again, we want to address the structural deficiencies. The interesting thing about this one, the inlet elevation, you see the picture on the left. Since 1938, this structure has not been in use. It previously carried a mill race that was wiped out during the flood of 1938. So the upstream end is buried under the only part that's exposed is the top of the head wall. The downstream outlet end, you can see there, it is a twin cell. There is water, but that's just backing up from the river. It's not, the culvert itself is not conveying any water. So the project goals for this one, since it's not conveying water, we want to clean the culvert cells, fill them with flowable backfill, with flowable fill, which would be like a low strength concrete, and then safely and permanently abandon the culvert. This will eventually be buried under the new roadway fill. Bridge 2704 again carries Leesville Road over an unnamed brook. The photo shows the upstream, the inlet end of the culvert. It's a single span culvert, 7-foot span by 4-foot high rise. A little bit less fill on it, approximately 17 feet of fill. And again, carries 2 lanes of Route 609. And again, got a few pictures from the inspection, the inside. Honeycombing the ceiling, we're getting some spalling in the ceiling. The picture on the lower right here is the wing wall on the outlet end. There was a roadway drainage pipe that went through it, and there's some significant spalling. And you can see some previous repairs attempted around the pipe, so there's definitely some structural repairs that need done there. You can go to the next one. The other interesting part about this one, this is a picture of the outlet end, and you can see the culvert outlet. The water is actually directed into a 30-inch pipe that's buried under all this, and then it empties into the Moodus River. So a part of the project, you can see from the pictures, this is looking upstream. We're getting some significant erosion and depositions in this channel. So part of the, you go to the next slide, Dennis. So purpose and need, again, we want to address the structural deficiencies. We'll repair the culvert as needed. This one will be a rehabilitation, not a complete replacement. And, you know, we want to make sure it's safe for conveyance of the traffic, roadway traffic above. So the goals here, we want to prolong the life of the structure by performing these structural repairs, maintain a sufficient load capacity, and then restore the downstream open channel. And we'll get into a little more details in the next few slides here. So getting into the proposed work, this is an overall plan view of the project area. You can see the limits of work. What's kind of bold print is the limits of work. So the project will start just to the east of Neptune Road. And you can see in red the three structures. It'll continue down for almost 2,000 feet to tie in to Route 149. And the roadway will tie into the limit of work from the other bridge that'll be going into construction next year, the bridge over Dykus Brook. So this gives you a nice overview of the project location, the setting, and where the three structures are. If you want to go to the next slide, Dennis. So this is a little more detailed. We're zooming in here, and you can see again to the left of the screen is Neptune Road. If you pay attention to the legend there, so the gray will be mill and overlay. Most of the roadway work will be mill and overlay. We're going to reconstruct shoulders throughout because the roadway will be a little bit wider. The yellow is a full depth reconstruction of the pavement. So under the 1382 structure, because that's a replacement, we're going to replace the structure, and it'll be all new full depth roadway reconstruction. And just for your knowledge, you can see the proposed fill. The darker green shows the amount of fill. So to replace that larger structure, there's going to be a lot of earthwork. We need to excavate down to the river elevation, remove the old structure, put the new one in, and backfill with suitable material. So there's a good bit of earthwork on the project. And let me just point out the orange colored areas, proposed driveways. Because of the work, there will be some tie-in work needed for the driveways in the area. So as the project progresses, we'll provide a detail on how the driveways will be repaired and how they'll tie into the new roadway cross section. Okay, next slide. And this is the other end of the project. It's rotated, but the same legend. You can see the gray areas mill and resurface. The shoulders get completely reconstructed. And in this area, that triangle shaped intersection will be rebuilt. We're not changing the geometry, but there'll be all new pavement through there and new driveway tie-ins throughout. The proposed section, we had mentioned earlier, the existing road is 30 feet kind of rail to rail. The proposed typical section will be 11-foot travel lanes and 12-foot shared use shoulders. with guide rail throughout where we have the higher slopes. So this will be the typical section throughout the project. Getting into the bridge work itself. The next few slides, we're going to talk about the structures. And this is the bigger bridge, the 1382 proposed work. The red again is the bridge. You can see the green is the fill again. You can see the amount of fill over the culvert, roughly 25 feet from the top of the culvert to the roadway. So it's under a significant amount of fill. The gray is the structure we're abandoning in this view. So you can go to the next slide. So here's a proposed elevations upstream and downstream. We had mentioned earlier the span and rise. So the span on these, we're going to have two 18-foot wide cells with 12-foot rise on these. A couple points of a couple things to point out on this. You'll notice the architectural surface treatment in the legend, that lighter tan area. The upstream end, we're proposing to use an architectural surface treatment, which consists of a form liner. When they make this either precast or cast in place, there will be a liner inside the form that replicates a stone pattern. I think we're proposing a dry stack stone. And when the concrete is cured, it'll be stained to look like natural stone. A couple other points in the elevation views. The culverts typically will be depressed. In this case, it's going to be 2 feet below riverbed, and we'll put natural stream bed material back in. So it's a natural bottom for any wildlife in the stream, and it'll look like the rest of the river. And the other thing where Dennis has the pointer in there, we're also going to install a 3 foot, what we call a riparian shelf, which will allow wildlife passage through the culvert throughout. Again, that'll be the natural stream bed material. Okay, you can go next slide, Dennis. Bridge 2703 again. The plan here is to abandon it. So we're going to remove the head walls and wing walls, clean the culvert out, and then we'll fill it with a flowable material that completely fills it. And then it'll be buried under, like I said earlier, under the roadway fill. And then 2704 proposed plan, it's a rehabilitation. So the plan would be to replace the head walls and wing walls on the outlet end. The outlet end is on the left side there where Dennis has the pointer. On the other end for the head walls, we'll extend those. They're in pretty good condition, so we'll extend them to accommodate the higher fill that's needed with the wider roadway. We'll do repairs throughout the barrel, the culvert as needed, and then restore the downstream channel. And we've got a couple more detail slides to show that. So this is the upstream, like I mentioned, the upstream elevation. You can see the green is the wing wall and head wall extensions, and the downstream will be new wing walls and head walls. I mentioned a channel restoration. So the plan is to restore this back to a natural open channel. But I mentioned it currently flows through a pipe. So the channel restoration will consist of, it's hard to see in this view, but those U-shaped structures are actually rock weirs that are spaced about 20 feet apart, and they'll be stepped down. The elevation of the stream coming out of this culvert is a few feet higher than the Moodus River elevation. So these will be stepped down so we meet the elevation of the river. And if you get on the next slide, Dennis, we can. So here's a view that, yeah, where Dennis has the pointer, you can see the step. They're roughly 20 feet apart. The weirs consist of rounded boulders, I believe 12-inch minimum diameter. So they'll be constructed stream bank to stream bank, create a little pool downstream of each one, and return the whole stream to a natural environment. You can get on the next one, Dennis. The last element of the design is the landscaping and project goals. I had mentioned earlier, there's a large quantity of excavation to fill to construct the bridges. That's going to disturb a lot of the existing plant life there. So the one goal is restore a mixed evergreen and deciduous tree canopy within the constraints of the project. We want to enhance the rural characteristics of the corridor, and then soften the slopes, soften the appearance of the structures and rock outfalls. Because of the steep slopes and rock needed around the stream, we want to try to, like it says, soften the appearance of those by providing plantings around to kind of hide those features. And I think we've got a couple pictures moving ahead of what could be proposed there. This is still preliminary, so it's very conceptual right now. So as far as the reforestation plantings, typically we would this would be a combination of evergreen and deciduous species. Because of the steep terrain, the vegetation installed would be what we call restoration side. So not large structures. Tree species that are planted would probably be in the 4 to 6 foot height range. Flatter areas, we could put larger caliper trees in that are a little more developed. But the plants we would propose are birch, red maple, elms, and white pines. It's all species that grow relatively quickly, and we would probably add some other oak species and sugar maple to the composition. Talking about softening some of the features, here's just some examples of, not that we're going to have large walls like that, but plantings can hide some of that, some of the hardscape there that we're trying to avoid. Okay, you can go to the next one. So here's a conceptual plan of the planting, proposed planting. You can see the the amount of excavation. Most of the plantings would probably be down near the bottom of the slope that would hide, like I said, some of the large rock features. Some of the slopes may need to be armored with rock, so the idea of the plantings would be to cover some of that up for the view shed from below. Okay, and the last part of the real design is the detour. Like I mentioned, because of the amount of earthwork required and the type of work, Leesville Road is going to need to be closed during construction. So we would maintain access to any properties along Leesville Road, but the through traffic would not be allowed. So there's 2 potential detour routes right now. To the south, starting at the 149 intersection, Dennis, we would go south on 149, East Haddam Moodus Road to Johnsonville, right on Johnsonville Road, back up to Leesville Road. So that's roughly 1.3 miles, relatively short. The other option would be to go to the north on 149 up to Route 151, Moodus Leesville Road, back to Johnsonville, and then south on Johnsonville to Leesville. Again, like approximately 1.4 miles. So both detours less than a mile and a half long, and relatively easy detours. Additional project information. Utilities are always a coordination issue with these projects. There will be some temporary relocation of the overhead utilities required throughout construction. Malcolm had mentioned rights of way. We're still very preliminary, but there will be some temporary and permanent easements required. And environmentally, there are some permits anticipated here because we're working around the water. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Connecticut Deep PCN and flood management certification. So all because we're working, in the stream here, the waterway permits are required. So you can go on to the next one, Dennis. I think somebody had asked about schedule here. Anticipated schedule, and we are still in preliminary design, but final design plans complete June of 27, so about 2 years from now. Construction starting in April 2028, construction ending 2029, and then those dates need to be firmed up a little more. There may be work that spills into the following year, but the goal would be to open the road back up in one season. Anticipated construction cost around $12 million. And the funding is 80% federal, 20% state. No local funds are included here. Okay, thank Dennis, back to you now.
Yep, I mean. All right, so this particular slide, you've seen this earlier on in the presentation, but again, kind of explaining the question and answer process. There's 3 ways that you'll be able to communicate with the DOT during and after this meeting. You can submit questions via email at dotproject0040-0149@ct.gov. You can also leave a voice message at 860-594-2020. The question and answer box can be used if you are joining us through the Zoom application. We will explain how to use this function again in more detail on the next slide. This function will only be available during tonight's meeting. The project email, voicemail, and Q&A box will be screened by the project team, and the project team will then read the questions out loud. Questions may be asked at any time during the presentation, but they will be answered at the end. There's also a project webpage where a recording of tonight's meeting will be made available. The webpage will also include information that was explained on how to leave questions and comments for the project team. The website is https://portal.ct.gov, DOT East Haddam 0040-049. And also to mention, the question and comment period by email or phone will be open through July 2nd, 2025. And just a brief go through the process of how to use the Q&A tool. To use the Zoom Q&A function, select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the webinar window. The Q&A window will open as seen on the right. Then you can type the question in the text box and click enter, and it will be submitted, and the question will be submitted to the team. All right, I'd like to just open forum up to question and answer period. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah, Dennis, it looks like the first selectman had some questions in the webinar chat, actually.
Okay.
So if you could read those off to everybody that is in attendance and provide the best answers, let's start there. And additional answers could be submitted during this time through the Q&A function that was mentioned, and we will get to those tonight.
Okay,
I apologize, I didn't have the instructions correct.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're good.
You've answered some of them, so.
For some reason, I am not able to access the
Uh,
Q&A window. I don't know why, but.
It's in the chat, Dennis.
Hmm?
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat function, Dennis.
What's that?
I
It's
think
in-
you've really answered most of them. The last two that, one was a comment regarding Neptune.
Okay.
Clearly Neptune is gonna be used by those who know it.
Yeah.
So that's probably gonna be a concern of our citizens, especially those who live there.
Yeah.
We might end up putting a speed sign on there or something just so we can keep the speed down. But they're gonna obviously see an increase in traffic there, so that's gonna definitely be a concern and we'll, probably hear about it. And then the only other question I had that you guys haven't answered is the, let's see, the timelines. Oh, I was asking, when you resurface the roads, are you putting bike lanes in?
Stan, if you want to.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, the DOT did a, what they call complete streets analysis here.
Yeah,
So we are widening the shoulders, and I think they'll be considered shared use shoulders. They'll be 7 foot wide, but we weren't planning on painting them as bike lanes.
okay.
Does that make sense? They will be wider, they will be.
Yeah, I thought that with new projects, bike lanes are gonna be painted in and everywhere, so could be wrong, I was just asking that question. And then the last question I had was, the slide had said that the project would be done in November of 2028, but you mentioned that it would be 2029.
Oh, I think the goal plan would be to do it in one season. I think I said there might be some work that spills over to 2029 when we get into the detailed construction schedule, but the goal would be to reopen the road in one season
So it would be April to November,
yeah,
provided nothing happens.
that would, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
First Selectman, just to add to Stan's answer concerning the complete streets feature. So the 7 foot shoulder is going to be buffered. There won't be paintings just because it's kind of it's misleading to bicyclists if you have such a short run of bicycle lane. And so we tend to not paint those and call those bicycle lanes officially. There are obviously, features that could be used by bicyclists, of course, but they're not painted that way just to not give the false impression that it's a true bike lane formally.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Yes, if you don't mind just shifting gears into the Q&A questions list now. It looks like there is a property owner who's got a question already.
For some reason, Francisco, I don't know why something happened here where I can't access that.
That's fine. Could
Yeah.
someone help? I could read off the questions or Yusuf, you want to take
Sure.
that role?
Yeah, absolutely. So, question came in from Lori Solstice. Originally, I was told that construction would begin in 2027 and would take 2 seasons. Stan or Dennis, would either of you be able to answer this?
Stan, if you want to start it.
Well, the project will be, I think it might be bid in 2027. The actual construction season would be 2028. Like I said, our goal would be to reopen the road in one season. There could be some work that goes into a second season, but that, like landscaping or that type of work that would be off the road. We haven't finalized the schedule yet, but that's the plan right now. Anything to add there, Dennis?
No, I mean, like you said, it depends on how things go during that first season and what, the contractor can accomplish.
Yeah.
the intention is to limit it to one season. And then sometimes there's some spillover to do some punch list items in the following spring, which in this case would be spring of 2029.
Just to add to that too, the DOT plans to do winter closures here for these projects. That's why the construction start tends to go to the next available April start. Looks like this schedule is going to be that way for this particular project here.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be standard with winter shutdowns during construction.
Dennis, could you flip back, please, to the slide that shows the guide as to how to post questions?
Yes. There we go.
Thank you.
It's like there's another question that came in from Lori. Will I be able to use my Leesville Road driveway after the first season then?
Yeah, we can kind of, so I can answer that.
Sure.
Let's go back up to the plan, the main plan here. Took me a while here. Apologize. Yeah, so during the first season, the driveway for 10 Leesville Road is going to be impacted. So the plan is this will have to be closed during construction for that season. However, as you're aware, you do have a driveway that also fronts or connects into Neptune Ave. So during that period, that driveway through the back of your property will have to be utilized during the first season. And then come spring, the hopes would be that this would be returned to its original condition. And then you'll be able to get access Leesville Road at that point. But it's also something where, it's very preliminary, so we're going to be looking at into all that in more detail and looking at the construction schedule and how that plays out.
Another question that just came in. Can Neptune Ave be designated as a local access only to help reduce traffic? Is the detour feasible for tractor trailers given the sharp turns along the detour routes? Dennis, did you want to answer this?
It's definitely, and I want to speak outline, but the state may be able to put, I guess, some signs that out there that will say that, no truck traffic through there. But also would have to be sort of policed as well by the local police, or in some cases, the state police. But that's something we can look into more detail on. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that.
As far as the second part of the question, the tractor trailer question, there are some sharp turns, but I think that's the same detour route that'll be in effect for the other bridge project over Dykus Brook. I think that's been kind of hashed out with the township previously.
I know I haven't had the conversation, but you could have had the conversation with Public Works. We, or you guys actually, I think, recently finished a terrible washout that we had from a couple of years ago. So it's got a brand new bridge in there, because we had the whole street got washed out. So, but only, obviously it's only that one section that's been, newly built. 2018 that happened. I thought it was just a couple of years ago. Time flies.
First Selectman, is the particular project that you just mentioned, is that a town project? That was done through federal, the Fed Local program, or was it a state project?
Yeah, it was a town because it is a town road. Through FEMA, yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey, Francisco, Mike Brady here. That was, I believe, a state, local, or LOTSIP project.
There you go.
Okay, and the idea is to try to use the same detour you're saying?
Same detour as the other, the project going into construction next year. 00400148.
Got it. Thank you.
Very good. Dennis, if you just want to pan over to the slide that gives direction on how participants and attendees can
Yep.
ask questions. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I have to go into a meeting at 7, so I thank you for your presentation today, but I'm gonna have to bug off. And I'll look forward to the slide presentation to be shared with everybody, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
No
thank you
worries.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, First Selectman.
Thank you.
Dennis, could you go back to the previous slide, the one that shows the various ways to participate there?
Yep. And again, mention that there will be a comment period of 2 weeks following this meeting, open through July 2nd, 2025. And you'll be able to ask questions either by phone or by email during that time period. The Q&A will not be available. It's only available during this live session. And all those links and information can also be found on the project website, as mentioned before. https://portal.ct.gov DOT East Haddam 0040-0149.
Let's give everybody another minute. Maybe if there's any other questions that come in. All right, Michelle Velez mentioned that she will be posting on the town website for the follow-up information. At this time, it looks like there's no other questions or comments, so we will be ending this presentation. Thank you all for participating tonight.